Thank you for joining us today to learn more about the Liberty Hall 360 immersive film experience. My name is Ed Johnston. I'm an associate professor in the Michael Graves College at Kean University. I teach experience design within the graphic design program. I'm presenting with two of my colleagues, Emmanuel Vozos, who is a co-director on the project, and Henry Stankiewicz. Our collaborative team for the project grew over the past 3 years. Please visit Liberty Hall 360 for a full list of the credits. We're about to watch a short promotional video that we put together for the project with our colleagues in the history department, Dr. Jonathan Mercantini and Dr. Elizabeth Hyde. Liberty Hall 360 is a reenactment of the marriage of John Jay and Sarah Livingston. So the purpose of this project is to leverage the capabilities of VR and 360-degree video and place our viewer in the point of view of a guest that would have been in the wedding. You don't have to be in the museum to experience it. You can actually put on these VR viewers and experience the important history anywhere. We want the viewer to feel like they time traveled back to the 1700s.
The marriage of Sarah Livingston to John Jay in April of 1774 is important, of course, to the history of Kean University because it took place right here on campus. And it was the first socially, culturally, and politically important event to be held here. The bride, Sarah Livingston, was the daughter of William Livingston, who would become the first elected governor of New Jersey. The groom was John Jay, the first Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. It also is interesting to us because it takes place in the months leading up to the American Revolution. It's a fascinating time in American history and a fascinating time in the history of Liberty Hall.
What's really exciting is the marrying of this old history, almost 250 years ago now, with the state-of-the-art digital virtual reality 360 technology. And that's why it's so exciting to partner with our School of Design, our theater program in creating this reenactment. And it's about using those traditional history methods, but conveying history in a really new and exciting way.
In my honors history class, we looked at first-hand documents over at the museum and on campus to recreate the events surrounding the wedding. We used John Jay and Sarah Livingston's love letters and other artifacts from the time period to write the script.
So the purpose for Liberty Hall 360 is to show to other students and visitors to the museum how important it is to keep in mind the things that happened in our past and how they relate to our present. Virtual reality can help to further research and expand our knowledge on things that happened hundreds of years ago.
It's really exciting to work on a project that goes beyond our historical research. Working together with the different departments at Kean is really cool because we're recreating something that happened on Kean campus in the 18th century. It's really going to bring history alive to the modern audience.
The challenge that we identified in this project was how might we give audiences and museum goers the exciting experience of feeling like they were actually in attendance at this historic occasion. We arrived at the solution of a film experience in two formats: widescreen digital HD and immersive 360-degree virtual reality. An energetic cast of characters leads the audience on an adventure around the mansion and grounds through the eyes of Lucius Horatio, a rambunctious young guest at the wedding. And now we'll talk a bit more about the design process. Initial project stakeholders organized and defined initial goals. Different funding mechanisms were established to drive research, and students collaborated with faculty to drive research and production tests. A collaborative team was formulated from that activity, and project goals were clarified. Script and screenplay drafts went through several iterations. Considerations for storytelling in 360 degrees were established, and the collaborative team grew. And for a moment here, we're going to hear from Emmanuel Vozos about that specific topic, about all the different groups and volunteers that we had that really made this project come alive.
For me, one of the most enjoyable aspects of this project was that we were able to involve so many different groups. The project began with the students of the history department doing their research. Once it was taken to our design school and Professor Johnston, it started to take shape as a potential film project. Once it came across my desk, it seemed to become something that would not only represent an exciting new student-driven filmmaking project, but also something that would be helpful for the museum, helpful for all of the different academic departments, and a really fun, exciting, and worthy application of new technology, new resources, and creative energy to create something that would benefit a lot of different people, especially guests to the museum, the students who are involved in the making of it, and ideally the people of New Jersey who would learn more about the history of the state once they saw the project. Having members of the Brigade of the American Revolution, the reenacting community, come on board was really exciting. They were actors, they were our historical experts and consultants. They helped track down props and costumes and instructed our cast on how to wear things, how different parts of their costumes worked. Having those historical reenactors was a huge advantage, and it allowed our project to have so much more authenticity and this sort of bedrock, this baseline of historical accuracy that we could build on top of to tell the story that we wanted to tell. The diversity of the cast and crew also added another dimension to the story and allowed us to represent not just the New Jersey of the past, but the New Jersey of the present. And that intergenerational new way of looking at history, we thought would really bring the material to life for today's students. 360-degree virtual reality creates an interesting storytelling challenge when trying to identify the point of view of the viewer. You can create a neutral, omniscient point of view and drop the audience into the center of a room, but you can also use an in-story character to be your point of view. And we thought for this project, that would be the right way to go. We decided on this character of Lucius Horatio Stockton, a young child who would have been in attendance with his parents at this wedding. This childlike point of view would be a great way to facilitate moving around the house and getting to see as many rooms as possible, as well as getting a look at all of the different personalities and different characters that would have been around the wedding. We established in the beginning that this character is rambunctious and energetic and adventurous, and that sets up the wandering camera that goes throughout the mansion into the groom's room as he and the other men are having drinks and talking about politics, into the bride's room as she is preparing for the wedding and she's discussing etiquette and propriety and the social requirements of the day, to the kitchen with the staff, into the wine cellar with Livingston Jr. And basically this little rambunctious character of Lucius gets us around the entire grounds and is our point of view character. It also allows for interesting ways to end scenes, because whenever you finish telling the story you want to tell, you can have a character turn to camera and say, "What are you doing here, little boy? Run along."
Coordination with the museum and across the various team members was essential for successful days of production. Important considerations were made for both immersive video and audio recording.
We organized the days of shooting very efficiently, trying to maximize our time in the location, our natural light, as well as make the most of the time dedicated to the project by our students, crew, guests, neighbors, etc. Myself and a number of crew members have experience working on professional film production, and we adapted what is essentially best practice for a Hollywood production into an educational project. We went about it really efficiently because of that.
And now we'll hear briefly from Professor Henry Stankiewicz on the complexities of recording audio for immersive environments. We'll also hear from him on the benefits of these kinds of projects in terms of student learning.
Working with audio for Liberty Hall 360 was a research project in itself, as unique challenges arose during every phase of production. While planning for audio and video capture, the notion of directional audio that is variable and relative to the viewer's specific and changing field of view was an immediate concern. One of the main goals of this virtual reality production was immersion, which requires multiple senses receiving the same signals in unison from perceivably the same source locations. For this project, recording directional audio was not an option with technology available, nor was the ability to reliably design directional audio in post. Recording a cast of 30 on a low production budget and in a historical house built in 1772 with rudimentary sound isolation created many opportunities to design creative solutions. For scenes in which there was a small speaking contingent, like the opening welcome scene, each speaking actor was directly fitted with a wireless lavalier microphone. This was the easiest and most straightforward solution. Complications arose as the number of speaking roles per scene increased. For some actors, costumes were not conducive to directly mounting a lavalier microphone. For some scenes, actors were too close in proximity and their feeds were muddled together, creating poor capture quality. In other scenes, the number of speaking parts exceeded the number of individual lavalier microphones on hand. Each of these challenges were handled differently, and each scene was shot using its own audio strategy. In scenes where close proximity was creating feedback and other noise-related issues, lavaliers were placed strategically on cast members that were central to the different areas where speaking roles were performed. Behind closed doors and away from the action, students and faculty on the audio team were tasked with adjusting microphone gain while live action was taking place in order to effectively pick up the different actions near the centralized lavalier. In other scenes, like the kitchen scene where costumes were not conducive to running lavaliers, shotgun microphones were hidden directly in the scene to cover wide portions of the room. The gain levels for these microphones were also mixed live while the action was taking place. In the bride's room scene where shotgun microphones could not be hidden, costumes were not conducive, and proximity of actors created multiple issues, a single shotgun microphone was set on a boom pole into the center of the room and above all of the actors. This boom setup would later be painstakingly healed out of the scene in post-production. All of these solutions worked fairly well during the limited production days, but eventually the decision was made in post to bring all of the actors with speaking roles back into the studio to record ADR takes of their parts. Automated dialogue replacement is a process by which actors watch playbacks of their scenes and then capture clean voice recordings that match up to the original take. These clean recordings are then used to replace the ones captured in production to provide a clean, uniform audio experience. Despite the added scheduling, organizational, and post-production work needed, ADR was by far the best solution for the final render and will likely be planned for and leveraged on future productions. One of the most exciting aspects of this project was the ability to include design students in a live production environment to augment their regular curriculum. The experience these students received included working as a part of a team in a high-stress environment, working directly with complex audio scenarios, and working to design solutions to obstacles and issues as they arose in a time-sensitive environment. Watching our students jump directly into and work successfully in roles they had no prior knowledge of and accept and perform their responsibilities with enthusiasm and professionalism was easily the most memorable part of working on Liberty Hall 360. This aspect of the project will certainly be motivation for developing similar projects in the future.
Using a variety of editing software, both an immersive 360-degree experience and a widescreen HD film were created, screened, and published to YouTube. The current COVID-19 pandemic has not just demanded innovation on the part of museums and cultural organizations in order to continue to serve their visitors, but it has also revealed an inconsistency to the levels of access many historical institutions are able to provide. Virtual reality projects like Liberty Hall 360 will not only make in-person visits to the space more accessible and transformative, they will also amplify the fascinating stories held within Liberty Hall's walls to a much broader audience, able to be experienced instantaneously from anywhere. The project was nominated for a 2020 New York Emmy Award in the category of Nostalgia Program. In addition, the project was awarded the highest honors, Platinum, in the category of Virtual Reality for the 2019 International Marcom Awards. The trailer was awarded honorable mention in the 2019 Videographer Awards. I would like to thank Dr. Farahi, Dr. Tony, and Dr. Bousquet for their continuing support of our research. I'd also like to thank Dr. Jonathan Mercantini and Dr. Elizabeth Hyde for their collaboration on this project. This project does not happen without them. And a special thanks goes to Dean David Money and Associate Dean Rose Ganella for their support of our work as well. Thank you.